ever been.
I
ain't much caring.
well, I became a Christian at the very young age of 5, because every 5-year-old completely knows and understands what Christianity should truly be about, right?
Yes.
But I was in my bunk bed, and I accepted the Lord when I was 5, baptized when I was 12, grew up in a Christian home, and it was amazing. When I was 18, 19, I started going through a bunch of different things. Depression, struggle with depression, as a lot of older teenager, young 20-year-olds struggle through. And I started questioning things and trying to figure out what my relationship with God looked like. And I kind of realized that I was living my parents' relationship my whole life, So I went through this discovery stages, and I feel like a lot of people do at that age, and that's the most common age where people walk away from their faith entirely.
Yeah.
Thankfully, I never did that, but I ended up realizing that Christianity today, in today's church, it's become a popularity contest, and it's become very cool and popular, but that's not what Christianity is. It never was. Christians, it was a really bad thing to call someone back in the day when people first started being called Christians. And it kind of hit me that, it's not cool to be a Christian, nor should it be cool to be a Christian. Christianity is a relationship. It's your relationship with God. I own a company called Veritas Guitars, and I don't know if you're going to put that in a little caption, Casey Marvin, Veritas Guitars. You should do that.
I'll do that.
Yeah.
I'll do it right. Put the hands up. All right, right there.
Right there.
Right, there it is.
But I met with this guy. He's this very successful business owner, and he makes a lot of money. And he sat me down. He said, "Casey, let me give you some advice. This is the best advice I could ever give a young businessman." He said, "With your employees, they're not your friends. They're not your family. Never, you can be friendly with people, but never make your employees your friends." So when they show up to work, they do as you're asked, and if they don't, they're gone. They need to be easily replaceable. And I was just thinking, what a miserable place to work.
Yeah.
Like, that would be terrible to work for someone like that. And he had made a huge career of it. And so I started thinking about it, and I'm like, okay, so I come back to my shop, and wanting to apply what he taught to me and to my guys who work with me. And so I sat down with them and I said, okay, you guys, your personal life, all your baggage and everything you have in your personal life, bring it to work. You don't need to leave it at home. It's like, we're friends. No, we're more than friends. We're family. Anything you need help with, come to me, And I decided I wanted to do it exactly opposite, because in my view of it, you get results in both. One's immediate results, you get results out of fear. Fear that they're going to lose their job or make you mad or whatever. But as soon as there's another opportunity for them that pays better or whatever, they're gone. So it's constant. So the easy to replace portion of it. With my guys, they're family, and they're not easily replaced. They're irreplaceable. Sure, maybe I can get someone else in there to do the same task, but with those, you get other results. One of my guys, I tried to give a raise, and he told me no. Like, who turns down a raise? I mean, he doesn't get paid very much as it is. And I was just like, well, why won't you take a raise, And he's just like, well, I just want to make sure that Veritas is in a healthy place. And I'm like, we're good. We're in a good spot. And he's like, well, I just want to make sure that you know that everything will be fine. He's like, this is my forever job. I don't want to go anywhere else. And that kind of just woke me up to that, to where it's relationships is such a huge part of life, and we all desire relationships just in human nature, I guess. And if we're all created in God's image, then why wouldn't it be focused on relationships?
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's awesome too, because it gives a perfect picture of how God actually comes to those. Like you just said, there's one out of fear, out of like, oh man, I might lose this. I might lose my faith. I might lose my sonship. I might lose all these things if I don't do what God's called me to do. Can't be his friend. I can't give him my junk. I can't bring my junk to work. And I think it's awesome how even in your actual life, I really feel like that's totally how the body of Christ is supposed to be. Here you say, no, come, bring your junk. We're a family regardless. You don't even have to be Christian.
When you talk to an atheist, or you talk to, one of my guys who works for me is an atheist, and he's one of my dear friends. I love him. He's my right-hand man. And he told me the one thing that he appreciated about me, and he's worked for other Christians and stuff, and he's been turned off by the church completely. One thing that he appreciated about me is that's who I am. It's just real, it's genuine. I'm not trying to be anything. And I'm not. I was at one point in my life, back in my earlier days, standing in the back, throwing your arms up and, crying. But this whole time I'm thinking like, man, I hope this really hot girl next to me is noticing how amazing I am at worshiping. You've done it.
Yeah, we've all been there. You've been there.
Yeah, totally.
Totally.
But it's like, now when I work, I go to church, I'm,
They're you.
there's not a whole lot going on,
Yeah.
just like, I don't really feel like being crazy active all the time. And, I think worshiping, showing signs of worship and stuff, I think it's healthy, it's good, but it could also be very unhealthy. And I think a lot of people don't realize that there's a huge spiritual warfare going on within the church and people inside the church. And so, of course, when people get burned, or because it's going to happen, people are going to get hurt by things that go on in the church. But you're going to hear people saying, I hate when churches act like it's not a business. And then you get other people saying, like, I just wish church was just straight business all the time. It's just like, I've seen a bunch of different sides of it, and it's like, it never fully works because we're all sinful. We all take it into our own hands, and
Sure.
anytime there's people in the church, it's not going to be perfect, and there's going to be problems with it. Well, I was talking to this kid, and he's a really bright kid, and he desires a relationship with God, but he struggles with a lot of things, and he feels like he's not good enough. And he feels like, he was telling me, he feels like he can't, I don't know, he struggles with reading the Bible, and he doesn't do it enough, and he's not a good enough Christian, he's not doing this, and this, and he's falling short in all these things, which is true. You'll never be good enough. And I'm like, great. And I was like, stop reading the Bible. And he looked at me, he's like, what? And I'm like, stop reading the Bible. Stop it. You don't need it. He's like, what are you talking about? And I'm like, some of the smartest people I know who sit and study the Word have walked further away from who God actually is and twisted things because they've dug in and studied the Bible. Now, am I telling you not to read the Bible, not to study the Bible? No. What I'm saying is stop what you're doing.
Yeah.
Pray for wisdom, pray for guidance and discernment, and then go read and study the Bible and ask God to reveal himself to you. And it's a whole different experience. And I think once people start doing that and start discovering who God is and their relationship with God, and not the relationship that the church is trying to put on them or their parents are trying to put on them, then I think we would see a much different picture, because there's a lot of justifying going on in the church. There's a lot of people defending themselves and having to justify why it's okay to drink as much as they do, or smoke as much as they do, or cuss as much as they do, or party as much as they do. There's a lot of justifying. And the Bible says, flee from temptation. There's not a lot of that going on.
That's the truth. That's the truth. Yeah, holiness isn't definitely not a popular message.
No. No, Christianity it's funny, it's the easiest thing to understand, but yet all these scholars and everything are making it so complicated. It's so complicated. But when you get down to it, the grassroots of it, it's the simplest thing to understand, but the most challenging thing to actually do. You know? But what the church wants it to be is extremely complicated to understand, but the simplest thing to do.
Right.
You know? It's kind of backwards.
Yeah.
And it's not, I wouldn't say it's just the American church. I would just say it's kind of a trend.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of places, a lot of people getting put up on pedestals, you know, and taking glory for themselves and not giving it back to God.